Hey guys, Marcus Kakin here from Blindside Football. I hope you're enjoying all the great new DFS content we have on the site this season. First of all, starting with my own, I don't know if you've checked them out, but my cash game lineups, my top cash game lineups for both DraftKings and FanDuel up on the site right now. So if you haven't checked those out yet, be sure to check those out. And then our very own Warren Lockling, the Roto Coach, he's giving you some great pivot plays for GPPs. And that's what I'm here to talk about right now, is some great GPP candidates for you. Starting off with quarterbacks, I just got one great one for you because I know there's a lot of GPP talk about quarterbacks and great matchups, but I really think Peyton Manning is going overlooked. To me, he's still one of those elite quarterbacks, one of those top 5 quarterbacks, the guys that's able to put up 3, 4, maybe even more touchdown passes on any given week. In fact, last time he played against Baltimore, also on a week 1, 7 touchdown passes from Peyton Manning. So Peyton Manning, a guy that I have in a lot of my GPPs, stacking him up with Demaryius Thomas a lot. And then also Owen Daniels, a guy that I think people are kind of forgetting about in that offense, but he's going to be looking for more red zone guys. You know, Julius Thomas no longer there. So yeah, I think we're going to see a lot more from Demaryius Thomas, and I think Owen Daniels is going to help pick up the slack as well. Running backs, first person I want to say is a min salary guy on both sites, Benny Cunningham. I know he's going up against Seattle, but it's looking like he's going to get all the work there in Seattle, and especially on a site like DraftKings with point per reception. It's only going to take a couple of receptions for him to hit value, guys. Min salary, it's not going to take a whole lot. Even if he only gets you 40, 50 yards rushing, if he gets 3 or 4 catches, that's going to put him into that GPP category for me. Next up, a pair of teammates, DeMarco Murray, Ryan Matthews. I think a lot of people are thinking, you know, these two are going to eat into each other, which I think to a point is true, but I think that both of them are going to get a lot of work. This is a high over-under game, so there's a good chance for either one of them, if not both of them, to explode. So these are both guys I have a lot in my GPPs. And for the same reason, Darren McFadden and Joseph Randle, same situation. You don't really know which guy is the guy, but high over-under game, great offensive line. So stick each of those guys in a couple of lineups. Each of them could pop for you big time and going to be relatively low owned because nobody knows which guy it's going to be. And then finally for running backs, Giovanni Bernard. I know everybody's on the Jeremy Hill bandwagon. I'm not really on that bandwagon, but Bernard, even when Hill's been in the game, is getting a lot of receptions. This is another guy, specifically in DraftKings, that I'm targeting. Really low down there in salary, and he's another guy that's just going to take a few catches, guys. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility for him to get 5, 6, 7 catches in this game, and maybe even some mop-up duty at the end of the game if they're really far ahead on Oakland, and they kind of take Jeremy Hill out to kind of rest him a little bit. Couple of wide receivers here. First up, OBJ. I know, guys, it's OBJ. You know, it's not really a far-fetched GPP candidate, but he goes nuts against Dallas. I know it's a small sample size, but in 2 games last season, he actually averaged 7 catches for 90 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's his average, not 2 touchdowns in you know, combined those 2 games, but a total of 4 touchdowns in those 2 games. I love him in this game. You know, I just think with Orlando Scandrick out of the game, another reason to like OBJ in this one. Lots of scoring to be had. Victor Cruz out again, so he's got that going for him as well. Just a lot of really good things going for OBJ in this game. Next up is a trio of wide receivers that are all the number 2 wide receiver for their team. But again, they're all in high over-under games, and these are all guys that at any point could explode for over 100 yards and a touchdown or 2. Terrence Williams, Ruben Randall, and Roddy White, kind of a lost guy in that mix. But all 3 of them, listen, if it's going to be such a high-scoring game, they're going to get involved. I got them in my GPPs. I like them in that mid-tier wide receiver group, or even, in Randall and Williams' case, that low-tier wide receiver group. Tight ends, first up, Jason Witten. I've talked about him a lot, especially in my cash game lineups. I like him for cash. I like him for GPP. He's not that sexy name, but in the last 4 games against New York, 6 touchdowns, and he's especially good against them at home against New York. His last 3 games against them, his average has been 9 receptions for 88 yards and 2/3 of a touchdown, so 2 touchdowns in those 3 games. So you like the receptions, you like the yardage. That's who Romo goes to when he's at home and they're playing against New York. It's just kind of his safety valve, I guess. But for whatever reason, Jason Witten getting it done against New York, especially at home, get him in your lineups. And another guy, Jordan Reed, with Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins must love him, guys. In the 3 games they've played together, he's seen 49% more fantasy points, 60% more receptions, and a whopping 83% more more receiving yards. And then don't forget, no Niles Paul, no Logan Paulson. I mean, guys, what's not like there? He's going to be very lowly owned. Could make for a good stack with a guy like Kirk Cousins because of Kirk Cousins' salary. He's going to be really low owned, especially because people going in that Kirk Cousins range are probably going to go to Tyrod Taylor, pivot to Tyrod Taylor. So I think Cousins a good pivot from Taylor, and then stack him up here with Jordan Reed and maybe even Deshaun Jackson. Really like those matchups, guys. So those are my GPP guys that I'm targeting in my lineups. I hope they work out for you as well. By this time tomorrow, we'll probably know how it all shakes out, but good luck and keep checking out our DFS content.